Did you ever wonder what it would be like to be one of the last people on Earth?
We're talking Ghost Town!
Who would you see?
There's nobody. There's nobody.
What would you do?
Hey, I'm sorry if the end of the world makes me a little nervous.
Where would you go?
The stars are open!
Well, get ready to find out, because the Comet is coming into your orbit.
The legal drinking age is now 10, but you will need ID. Let's be real.
It's the night of the Comet.
What do you give me if I come back?
Texas?
Night of the Comet.
I'll be taking requests from all you teenage Comet zombies.
The night the teenagers ruled the world.
Yeah!
Night of the Comet.
The burden of civilization is on us.
Fiction, isn't it?
Do you guys have questions ready, or are you just kind of rolling with it, or how are we gonna do this?
I do.
Okay.
I have questions.
Okay.
I have a couple of notes. That's about it.
Oh, okay. Is it going to be you remember that time that you were in the cheerleader outfit
No.
with a gun? That was awesome. Oh, wait, I'll do that. Never mind.
Yeah, you do that.
All right.
Hello?
Oh, Kelly?
Yes, right on the button.
Right on the button, exactly. We are not latecomers to the show.
I guess not. You're seasoned professionals. I love that.
Well, we use that word professional a little loosely, but okay.
Good.
Online we've got Rose and Scott, so they are my co-hosts. They're joining me.
Hi. Hi, Rose. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Kelly. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Hi,
Thanks
Kelly.
for having
Yeah, it's very good to be on the show with you.
Same here. No, you guys are great.
I'm very excited about this. It's gonna be awesome.
Cool. I am, too.
Cool.
What would
You
you
sound
like
just
to
like
know?
yourself.
That's good. That's good.
Just
I
like
guess.
yourself. What does that mean?
I've been watching your movies all afternoon. It's just like, oh my God, Kelly Maroney, this is awesome.
Oh, gosh. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What would you like to know?
I guess what we'll do is just do a quick little intro, and then we'll
Okay.
just start pounding you with questions.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm up for it.
Sounds great.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight.
Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sur and the Kodan Armada. Get ready. Prepare for blast-off.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Remember, no matter where you go, there you are.
This is 80's Reboot Overdrive Podcast.
We were dancing just like Swayze when Jennifer Grey had a nose. Oh, how I miss the 80s, but I'm too young to really know. Too young to know.
Oh my God. That is so dated.
This is 80's Reboot Overdrive, and I am Dave. Online, I've got co-host 80's Music Girl Rose.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
And co-host 80's Auto Reverse Scott.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be back.
And we have special guest with us, the wonderful actress Kelli Maroney, which most of our 80s fans will know her from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Chopping Mall, and the wonderful cult classic Night of the Comet. Thank you for joining us, Kelli.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know, I want to give you a little background on one of the previous episodes that we've done, where we talked about our guilty pleasure movies.
Mm-hmm.
And what each one of us did is we came to the podcast to talk about our top 3 guilty pleasure 80s movies. And one of the top 3 for Scott, Night of the Comet. And it was like, as soon as you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, I don't even know if you want to call that guilty pleasure. It's a great movie.
Thanks. You can call it whatever you like. It's personal. Everyone has a personal relationship with the things that they love, and far be it from anybody else to say you have to feel about something a certain way. No.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've had just a huge acting career, throughout the ages. But I mean, your start was in Ryan's Hope. What was that like?
It was incredible because I was going to the National Shakespeare Company Conservatory, and I thought that I was just going to do classical theater. And I was looking for an apartment, and I needed a place to live, and I was new in New York City. I'd been to the summer conservatory program, but it was all the way upstate in Kerhonkson, New York, so it wasn't being in the city. This is me being in the city, and anything could have happened to me. But what happened was this woman said to me, she goes, I was looking for an apartment. I didn't have any money. I was too young to really get a job. I didn't know anybody. It was a recipe for disaster. And she said, I have a friend who's a casting director and an agent, and she happens to know that they've been looking all over for this Midwestern Lolita, and they can't find her. So maybe she'll go over and meet her. Maybe she'll send you in. And so, long story long, I ended up getting a part. It was crazy. It's just one of those things that, I had no previous experience in front of a camera. I had, please. And so by the skin of my teeth, I just decided I'm not going to get fired and have to go home to Minnesota. So fortunately, Louise Schaefer, who played my mom, befriended me, and she kind of taught me the ropes, like, here's how you cry on cue. Here's how you handle that exposition dialogue where, haven't you always said? As my mother, I think that you should know, stuff like that, where Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays is when they fill the audience in. And we used to call it the coffee scenes, where you sit down and you tell each other what the storyline is so that people can catch up. And it's very awkward, So, you have like, I'm your mother, and because otherwise that's how, So anyway, she taught me everything there was to know about soaps, and it gave me a wonderful base. And when I got out to do movies out here, these independent 80s movies, they love soap opera actors because we were so used to being, one take. They didn't stop camera for anything on television. The set could fall down around your ears and you didn't stop unless they stopped. And so they were like, wow, these kids are really right on top of it, because we'd already had that training. And in fact, we'd go, okay, there was one take for safety, and one take and print that, and then print one just for safety. And all of us, I know I was going, you mean we get to do it again? We get another try? Which, yeah. So they're like, oh, thank God. Okay, we're going to stay, on time and on budget. So that's why I don't know if they consciously look for that, but they certainly wanted experienced people.
Yeah, I was trying to find the special that they did on the Blu-ray version of Night of the Comet. I don't have that version, but they had it looked like it was a 20-minute interview with you and Captain Mary Stewart, and I don't know if there was other cast members, but I only caught like a minute and a half of that clip, and that was something that you started talking about, how it was really you felt like it was like just ready to, you just had to go from one scene to the next, and you were relieved that they actually took a take or two when they were doing this kind of stuff. So it was interesting to hear that part of it. I'm really trying to find where I can get a copy of that little interview that you guys did.
It might be on YouTube.
I looked and I couldn't find the full version of it. I only got like a minute and a half of it. I'll have to dig a little
deeper. I never looked at that stuff afterwards because I sit there and pick myself apart, and so I've never seen it. I've never seen any of the commentaries I've done because I beat myself up so bad I just don't even bother. Oh my God, I look like that? Oh my God, what did I say that for? Oh my God. So I just leave it alone.
Yeah, that's sometimes what I do when I go back and I'm editing one of the shows. I'm like, what was I thinking when I said that? You know? I relate.
Exactly.
We all do that.
What a freak! Yeah, yeah. So I guess if you were to buy the DVD, then you would probably have it.
I have the regular DVD. I just don't have the Blu-ray.
I mean the Blu-ray. I meant the Blu-ray.
I didn't even know it existed until like a couple days ago when I started doing a little more research. I didn't even know it was there.
Well, you know, I don't personally own a Blu-ray machine myself.
Really?
Nice.
No. Yeah, I don't have one, so everything I own has to be. I always ask, can this also play on a DVD player? You know what? I'm not alone. A lot of people don't have a Blu-ray machine.
Oh, yeah. I have one. But...
I never got around to getting.
It took me a while to get one, and I only have I think I have 4 Blu-rays. All the rest of my collection is all DVD. And then if Rose, what's most of your collection, Rose?
It's VHS. I was just going to say I drug my Christmas stuff out because a lot of my Christmas stuff is on VHS, so I plopped it up here next to my Blu-ray player so I could watch all my Christmas cartoons and stories and things for the holidays.
My DVD player still has a VHS because there's some things I have on VHS that I just don't want to let go of that, and it occasionally comes in handy.
It does, and a lot of times if it's old enough, they don't have a DVD for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think that, for example, I made a DVD of Face Down, but I don't think it ever came out in DVD. I could be wrong. It's a Showtime movie I did with Joe Mantegna and Peter Riegert and Adam Mount.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think I have it on a disc, but I don't think they ever made it. So there you go. That's one.
Very cool. I actually.
I'm sorry, Rose, to cut you off, but there's something I wanted to expand on the Ryan's Hope thing. In case you guys do want to find a good clip on YouTube, check out Kelly on Family Feud.
Oh my God!
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Okay,
I didn't know you were on Family Feud.
I was lucky enough when I was on soaps. It was like the teenagers. They were enjoying a renaissance of ratings, and so we were very prominent. You know, we got magazine covers and we got to do stuff that normally in the past they would have overlooked soap stars for that. But they did this thing called Daytime Saints versus the Sinners. So they took the ABC lineup, and the people that played the goody two-shoes characters are on one side, and those of us who played the evil people were on the other. So, of course, I was a sinner. And then they threw us on this show, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna go for this. And you can really tell, like, I'm out of control. Like, I'm way too ambitious on that thing. Because I just thought, God, it would be so humiliating to be bad at this game. I want to just go for this as hard as I can. And you can tell. You can tell even Richard Dawson's like, get out of her way. That's really funny. I forgot all about that except for the fact that two people tell me that that's one of the first things that comes up on when you Google me is that Family Feud thing. I said, I can't believe it. And you know why? It's because I couldn't get over it, and it's because game shows continue to be so popular.
Yeah, definitely.
So you never know. As an actor, you never know what's going to end up sticking with people or not. You really don't have any control over something you can think is so great, and people just couldn't care less. And then you do something that you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to wear a bag over my head after this comes out, and they love it. So you just never know. That's why I said it's not my business what you think of it. It really isn't.
Yeah.
No, I can imagine that.
If you think it sucks, great. I mean, whatever. Everyone's got an opinion.
I can imagine that the game shows have got to be a lot of fun. I mean, I think everybody enjoys watching them. You're not a character anymore. You're you. So you get to your personality comes out in it. So I'm gonna have to look that one up too.
I think that was probably the first time that audiences that knew me as an evil character got to see that I didn't have horns.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I was going to say, when I was in Germany, I was in the military and back in the 80s, in the early part of the 80s. And one of the few things that we got on TV there was Ryan's Hope. As a matter of fact, when they had canceled it, because I was pregnant with my second son over there, so had a lot of downtime. So I would be sitting there knitting, and watching Ryan's Hope.
Usually when they get you. They get you when you're pregnant. They get you when you broke your leg. They get you if you have to be in the hospital for some reason. And then you're fucked after that.
Yeah, and I remember your character, and I thought, oh my gosh, this little girl is mean. Jeez,
I thought, okay, everyone in the whole world is going to hate my guts. I was devastated. But what was I going to do? I had to do it.
Yeah, it's your character.
And so Louise said to me, she says, if everyone hates you, they love to hate you. That means they're actually
I mean, look at Susan Lucci. She spent her whole career being hated by her fans.
I didn't. It took me a while to understand that because, like I said, I was so, I didn't have the first idea what was going on.
Yeah. How many episodes did you do of that? Did you do the whole series?
I did like 312 episodes or something like that.
So you were the whole show.
Episodes.
Yeah, because by the time I got back, was when I realized they
canceled for 3
the show.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on that show for 3 years, and then I was on One Life to Live. I did almost 100 episodes of that, I think, as Tina.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't watch that one. Sorry.
Andrea.
I was in the General Hospital by then. So.
Andrea Evans is Tina, and she's that's her part. But they wanted to bring the character back, and she was doing something else for a couple of months, and so I stepped in and did it. Yeah. So that's one thing is I got very territorial about Kimberly, and if anybody had tried, if they had anybody else try to play her, I would have died. That was my character. Now I'm more mature, a little bit, but in those days I just took everything so personally. I don't know. It was a wonderful character, and you know what? Talk about lucky, because there I am. And Joan Fontaine comes on to play my agent, and Christopher Reeve comes in to play himself. And, you name it, we had people walking in there all the time that you just pass out. Because, like I said, we were lucky enough, I just happened to hit that when soaps were interesting to people.
Yeah.
So that really, really helped me out. And then, people took me seriously in the business because I had a job. I was a professional. I didn't have to go through a lot of these things that these young girls have to put up with trying to break into the business because I was already in the business. Nobody was going to mess around with me. 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10, when they're harassing those young actresses, they're not going to give you a job. And, if they did respect you and want to work with you, they wouldn't be pulling that. So I missed that whole thing completely. In fact, when people started to ask me, like, did you have bad experiences? I'm like, no, why would you ask me that? So that's super fortunate. I got on-the-job training. I was making a living. And, they didn't pay me personally any large amount because I was new, but I was making a living. And I, was credible in the business. So that's how I got the opportunity to audition for things like Fast Times and, and I had the experience to do these, like, independent movies like Night of the Comet and Chopping Mall because I, had my training.
Can I ask you a little bit of history?
Sure.
When did you know that this is what you wanted to do when you grew up?
Oh, my God. When I was a little kid, I used to watch movies with my mom, old movies like, Susan Sarandon was on TV a lot. And I just thought that's the thing to do. I was just entranced with that because I just noticed when you're sitting, when you're watching something, then you have a cathartic experience with that character. It makes you feel better, or it inspires you, or it makes you think, or it makes you cry, or it makes you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do with my life. And so I always knew it. But, I think everyone goes through this. It's like, who do you think you are to be an actress? They're going to just laugh me out of school. They're just, I think everybody goes through that at some point. But my mom, who was pretty smart, she said, I think you should try to do what you want to do.
Good for her.
I know, because a lot of people don't have that luck, and they have parents and friends who mean very well but don't want to see them get hurt, and they try to discourage them.
Yeah.
And this is super hard. I mean, it doesn't ever get any easier. So if you need all the support you can get.
Yeah.
And then some. So it's really kind of a drag when you're not getting it.
So does that mean that your body's at work, your mom's watched those, and has she given you any commentary?
My mom, she was just, pleased as hell, because I don't come from a show business family, and my daughter's on TV, and she used to say to me, "You just remember, if they could do it any better, they'd be up there doing it themselves."
Exactly.
But anything I did was okay. I don't think she ever saw any of my movies because she never went to the movies. She didn't like movies because she said, when they started swearing on movies and had all that nudity and stuff, I didn't care to see that anymore.
Yeah.
I know, like in Face Down on Showtime, I said, "Mom, I have a nude scene," and I thought I had to tell her, and she said, "So what?"
Great reaction.
I said, "Well, you're not going to see it anyway," and she goes, "That's right."
Too cute.
She was funny. She was older, when she had me, so she was a lot. I wasn't like, the firstborn. Their parents are like super nervous, and they don't want to make any mistakes at all. And by the time you're the caboose, you're the end of they've just seen everything, and they've made every mistake, and they can afford to loosen up. And that's, she passed away in 98.
Oh.
Sorry to hear that.
But, thank you. I mean, she, lived a beautiful life, and, but the point is I was very lucky to have that going in, because I don't think that I could have also battled, my mom doesn't want me to do this.
Yeah, because so many actors and musicians and artists in general, they do experience that, get a real job and, what are you going to make of your life, and is this all you're going to do type of thing.
Well, I get that now because, because an actor has highs and lows, and so, I mean, it was to be fair, 2 weeks after I left home, I was on a network television show. So what was she going to bitch about, right?
This is true.
Okay? It would have been a different story if she thought, oh, my God, she's homeless, she has no food, why won't she come home? It would have been a different story. Because now it's kind of, and every actor goes through this, it's like, what was I thinking? Dues is pay now or pay later. We all have our ups and we all have our downs. But, unless you're like on a television series or you're in a movie that everybody loves, like what are you thinking? So we all have that at various stages. Everybody experiences self-doubt. They constantly. I don't care what you're doing. You're thinking, am I doing the right thing? Am I wasting my life, or is this what I'm supposed to do? And everybody, it's just the way life is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're in the arts or it doesn't matter what it's about.
It doesn't. It makes you feel any better, Kelly. I come from a long line of nurses, so when I went in the Army to become a secretary, I just got the bashing of the lifetime. Are you kidding me? Secretaries are a dime a dozen. It's the healthcare industry you're wanting. And I'm going, I don't care. I'm going to be Shirley MacLaine in that movie where she was a sweater girl and secretary. And that was my dream. My dream was to be a secretary. Because I saw a movie with Shirley MacLaine in it, and she was a secretary, and she ended up being a sweater girl for an ad agency. Well, I didn't think that was going to happen to me, but I like the secretary part of it.
You can make anything look attractive in the movies. That's why they're so
seductive.
Of
Course.
So, all right. So I want to fast forward. Do you have any, recollections of hanging out with any of the co-stars of Fast Times?
Well, sure. And but I kind of like to say that I don't want to tell stories on them because it's their story to tell.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. If they want to tell you, they'll tell you. It's not my business to talk about them. But yeah, I mean, there's one that I can tell you where Sean Penn was very committed to his character, and to the point where he wanted you to call him Spicoli, and if you didn't call him Spicoli, he would not answer you because he was so committed to staying in character. That character was very unlike him, actually. He didn't get high. He didn't. So he was, he was really holding on to that, and he was always in character. And one time we were all sitting around one of those times when they couldn't get, they had trouble with the lights or something was, we were all sitting around waiting for something. And, he sort of started talking to us and stuff like that. And he thought, oh, my God, I'm losing my character. So he went and put a cigarette out in his hand.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I went, okay, you're crazy, to myself. But then, I had to go back to New York and go back on the soap. But after we did it, but Pamela called me up, Pam Springsteen, and she said, Sean Penn was at the rap party, and I didn't even know who he was. He had the nicest manners and a really nice haircut, and he said, hello, I'm Sean.
Oh.
I know. Well, see, I had a tip-off because I couldn't drive yet when I was on Fast Times, and so the Teamsters would have to, it was either the Teamsters would pick me up at the crack of dawn to take me to the set, or I'd have to walk or something.
Ugh.
So I would catch a ride with them, but, I'd get there at like 7 in the morning, and I'd have an 11 o'clock call. So I was doing a lot of sitting around, or at 6 o'clock in the morning I'd show up. And sometimes I actually did have like a really early call, but I was always the first one there, so I got to see Universal Studios come to life. I got to see everything wake up for the day, and it was really amazing. And I would go in to get my hair and makeup done because that way mine would already be done before all the other girls got there, and we wouldn't be fighting for the chair. So I was already done. And I liked the hair and makeup ladies a lot. And they were very motherly. And the hair lady says to me one time, she says, you know what, you kids got to be nice to Sean. He's actually a really, really sweet kid, really, really nice kid. And so I would sit there because he'd have to come in earlier too because that was extensions on his head, And so they'd have to put them on for him, and so he'd have to be there early. And he would just sit there, and I would just sit there, and I could see that he was a really nice guy. But I didn't tell anybody because I wasn't supposed to.
There you go.
Because he was Spicoli, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, I just respected his process, and so I think, we liked each other because of that. That's the story. What else would you like to know? Oh, there's one time Vincent Schiavelli, who played Mr. Vargas with the human heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very scary looking, he had a very unique look when he was, rest his soul, he was a fabulous actor and a really awesome person too. But he startled Phoebe when she didn't know who he was, and she startled her. She went running into her anyway. She had a lot on her mind. She was carrying a lot of that, a lot of the movie. She was a big character.
Yeah. Beautiful girl.
She's a very nice girl too.
Yeah,
she seemed very down to earth.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also, who knew Forrest Whitaker was going to be the guy with one line in the movie?
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah, he was awesome in that.
Yeah. I just think that everyone, we were lucky that, it's all luck and chemistry, but we were lucky that everybody on that movie was a really nice person.
That always makes things easier when you work with a team of people. If everyone's pretty much like-minded. And
there's no crazy egotistical people. Everyone's just, their whole thought is, let's make this the greatest we can possibly make it. And that everyone's got that single thought, then it doesn't matter what else is going on, you're going to really bond.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Thanks for sharing those stories.
Sure.
So can we talk about Night of the Comet?
Sure.
I just got to say, I'm going to do a Chris Farley episode right now.
Okay.
Remember that one time? That was awesome. No, really. It's just,
yes, Chris,
it really.
Oh,
stupid questions. Sorry. I just,
I loved it. That's got to be my favorite thing he did.
Oh, it's hysterical.
Then the Chip and Dale thing.
Yeah, that. Oh boy, that was disturbing with him and Patrick Swayze. So, no, just the Night of the Comet. Just loved it. It's one of my all-time favorite 80s movies. You were in two of my favorite movies of the 80s.
It's
Fast
so
Times at
funny when
Ridgemont High.
Richie always says, "My God, Maroney, you were the 80s." Every time I turned around, I ended up in a mall. So
oh yeah.
It was not by design at all. I just got, and it was a lucky for me. But nobody planned that. It just sort of happened. So I got to it when they were casting Night of the Comet. One thing Tom Eberhardt said was, for Samantha, get me the most, that really annoying cheerleader in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Get me somebody like that. And producer said, actually, you know
Terrible.
what? We can get you that girl.
You were super cute in that. I love that part.
Tom's original idea was that Samantha was supposed to be so annoying that people were going to cheer when she got killed because he was going to kill her off. And then the producer said, "You can't do that. This is not going to work out unless it's a comedy. And if you kill that character, people will walk out of the movie. That's not going to be entertaining." Yeah. And so they changed it.
And that one part, I mean, that when they do act like they're killing you, and then that
because
I mean, that was
exactly.
like
I think that's when I was supposed to buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. and then they brought you back in later on in the movie. You're like, yes, here she's back. All right. So that's good.
Yeah, I think originally I was really legitimately dead at that point, but then they said nope.
A little too dark.
Yeah, well, it's not funny.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Well, Tom's original concept for the movie was that it was going to be. I mean, it's obviously a social commentary, but he's a very serious guy, and I mean his movie before that was Soul Survivor. He prefers to go dark, So he was going to say, Kathy and Bob were going to find a baby at the end of the movie.
Oh wow!
And everyone said, no, just bring the cheerleader back.
Yeah.
And because it's a comedy. Traditionally, one of the definitions of comedy from classical times into the movies of the 30s and 40s to now, one of the definitions of a comedy is that there's a wedding at the end of it. So we didn't do a wedding, but Kathy and I should call them by their names, Regina and Hector were together, and then they had DMK swing up for me because everybody has to be happy at the end.
Right. I mean, and we had to find out who DMK was.
From the Tempest game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you look at Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, at the end they're doing a double wedding. You can go back and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, if it had a sad ending, God, what a bummer.
Yeah.
Then when we did Face Down, Tom said, I am bound and determined to have a sad ending. I love film noir. It doesn't always have to be wrapped up with a pretty bow. And I ended up at the end of that thing, well, I won't tell you, but it wasn't a happy ending.
Yeah.
Here.
So, but, that was, and he actually, I mean, he was so funny. The thing with that script is that it read actually a lot funnier than it played. So you could be sitting there reading, and I was like laughing out loud just reading it because it was so stupid. I mean, my character was so stupid. It was great. But he's funny, but he always wanted to do dark stuff, serious stuff.
Yeah, I never saw it as like a comedy. I saw it as like an adventure movie.
Well, the thing is that it's its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because even when we were shooting it, we would do one that was dead, completely serious, and then they do one that's, well, let's see, what if this was funny? So we'd do like one take one way and one take the other way, and just, then just move on to the next scene, and we just let them decide what they wanted to do with it afterwards. As a matter of fact, my favorite scene in that movie is when we're sitting on the cop car, and I finally break my my denial, and I finally admit that something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, and so they wanted to cut that. They said, "What is she crying for? That's the dumbest thing I ever saw. Get that. That not fit in with the rest of the movie." And so one of the producers, Wayne Crawford, fought for it. He said, "That is the movie. That's what. Otherwise, who cares?" And so they fought and fought, and they did test screenings. And Tom Eberhardt didn't want it in either. He also thought it was stupid. And he wrote it. He said, it just doesn't fit with the rest of the movie. All of a sudden you get so serious. And
that was very poignant.
Tom tells the story of sitting in the focus group, where they test stuff out. And here comes that scene, and then they're testing it on, the demographic, which is teenagers and stuff. And he said, all of a sudden I hear people sniffling. And I thought, oh, my God, they're with her. They're crying.
Yeah.
They're with her.
Yeah.
I think it was a good taste of reality. You know,
it was.
It's a fantasy. This whole movie, the whole idea of, you know, this apocalypse, it's a fantasy type situation, and that brings it back home a little bit. That little bit of serious. I think that's good for a lot of movies that are, you know, if they're considered a comedy, you bring it home every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think that keeps them in touch.
Yeah. Who cares? That's a big problem. I think, with some of the movies later on when they stop doing any character development. You know, I don't care how much action you got or special effects you got, but if you don't care about those people, then why, you know, it's an empty experience to watch it. I mean, if you read the dialogue, just look at the dialogue of Sam and Reggie in that scene. It's stupid. It's stupid. This is really a lucky break for her. It's stupid. I could have played it that way.
But you think about it, I mean, that sounds like something a teenager would say, though.
It's really stupid. But, of course, I had to believe it.
Yeah.
I could see that's a big problem, especially if something is kind of funny, is to not comment on it. The minute you pull away from your character and start commenting on the character, then you're not giving the audience the experience of being with that person. You're just going, isn't this dumb, or isn't this sad, or isn't this whatever it is. But then the audience doesn't get to come along with the character. So you've just ruined it for them.
Yeah.
So one more quick question about Night of the Comet, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You guys were handling weapons very comfortably.
Yeah.
So is that from, like, prior experience, or did you just pull that off naturally?
The first thing they did before we even started shooting was they took us out to a shooting range, and they taught us how to use real Mach 10s.
Yeah, and you looked really good doing it. I mean, it looked like second nature.
Well, I had some previous gun experience because I don't know why, but in every single part I played, I ended up shooting somebody. So it was either with a pistol or, you know, I mean, so it wasn't the first time I had to shoot a gun. But these Mach 10s are heavy. They're super heavy. And I thought, listen, if we're just throwing these things around, because when they handed us usually there were the plastic rubber guns, you know, and except when they really had to come in for a close-up, they'd do a real one. But, and those things weigh like an ounce. So if you're not careful, you know, there's nobody who's my size who's going to go flipping around a Mach 10 like it's nothing. And so I would do this, like, because what really happened when I was practicing was I'd be fine with the gun, and then if I had to shoot it, I would end up crouching, because otherwise when the report would throw me back. So that was to steady my balance. So I did that in the movie when Samantha had to, because otherwise she would have fallen back, because she's too little, because I'm too little. And so I get teased about that all the time, about my weird little squat that I did whenever I shot. But that's where that came from.
But that's cool, though, because being in the military, have been in the military and been on a firing range, and kind of knew exactly what you were doing. But it was still kind of like, you know, the one line where you're like, see, these things, this is what always happens with these things. They jam up. Daddy would have got it.
Awesome.
They really do. But see, the thing with that is they were driving Tom Eberhardt crazy because he wanted Uzis. And the studio said, no, they're too expensive. You're going to get Mach 10s. And he was so angry. He said, don't you know what's going to happen? They're going to jam. They're going to ruin every single take. They're going to blow our budget. We'll never be on time. And sure enough, that's what happened. And so that one particular day, and it happened all the time, things would jam, as you know. And so that's why Kathy had that line, too. The Mach 10 was practically designed for housewives. Well, well. So it's so fun to talk to somebody who understands what I'm talking about. Thank you, Rose. So that particular day, I was shooting up the car, and it was a nightmare. We couldn't get one decent shot. And Tom finally, in exasperation, says to me, Kelly, this time, if that happens again, I want you to keep going. And I said, what do you mean keep going? Oh, my God. And he said, you keep going. I want you to turn to Kathy and say something about this. I said, like what? And he goes, why don't you say, because, you know, in this case, Daddy was Tom. Daddy would have gotten us Uzis because he was so mad. And I said, really? What if they get mad at me? And he said, I don't care. So he said, just sell it, you'll be fine. And so that's what happened. Sure enough, it jammed again, and Kathy knew it was coming too, because she was in on the conversation. And Kathy was like, oh, she goes. And so I did it, and I did it with as much aplomb as I possibly could. And then I just walked off. That was Tom Everhart's commentary on how cheap they were, and he just used my character to voice it.
That's
and
awesome.
It's like that's the line that people yell at me all the time. You
really?
know, Daddy would have gotten those Uzis. That's why. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And scene. Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. I could tell stories for like 5 hours, but I will gladly, if you ever want me to come back, I will.
Awesome.
Oh, that would be awesome to have a part 2, because I've got like a ton of questions about Chopping Mall and
great.
Transylvania Twist. I want to know why you weren't in it.
Oh, I am in it, but just very briefly. I mean, you can't. I'm part of the band.
Okay. I thought maybe you were
at
the end.
Stupid. Yeah, I was really stupid. I know. I was Where's Waldo for a long time with Concord Films and Jim Wynorski, because he'd go at the last minute. He'd go, because if you know that you can trust somebody and that they're going to come through for you, that's who you call, And so I was honored that was the case. And he'd say, do you want to come down tomorrow? And I got this scene. And I thought it would be funny if you and Tracy Lords were wearing identical nursing outfits. And I go, okay. And I'd show up the next day. I would have no idea what I was doing or what he was going to have me do or what he was up to. And so that was one of those cases, too, where he goes, do you want to come down and be in a band? I said, well, I can't sing a note, and I can't play guitar or anything like that.
Yeah.
He goes, how about if I throw you a banjo? We're not going to really hear you. I just think it would be fun to have all my friends in this, because he always puts people that amuse him to have, so that's why I was Where's Waldo a lot.
That's funny.
Because it would be me and like a writer friend of his and a producer friend of his or another actor, and he just put us in these weird little things that it's kind of like Alfred Hitchcock walking. He always just want to.
Yeah.
He walks through a scene or something. He's always in his own movie.
Yeah.
We'll do that once in a while, but what he really likes to do is put his friends in weird places.
That's neat.
Yeah.
We need more friends like that.
Yeah.
Put my friends in weird places all the time.
Oh, we all do. Yeah, I know. I know. Part of the definition of I'm your friend is, and I know that I'm going to sort of regret it someday. But it's okay, because you're probably going to regret it someday, too.
Yeah.
So Kelly, I want to respect your time. Are you good with us scheduling something with you as a follow-up?
Absolutely. I would love it.
Fantastic.
I would love you guys. You know what? It's great talking to you guys, and you really know your topics, and I think you're fantastic. Really great questions, and you're doing, like you need me to tell you this, you're doing a really good job.
Thank you so much.
You need me to tell you that. Gee, thanks, Cal, because we were worried about it.
Well, before we let you go, though, we do want to make sure to acknowledge your birthday's coming up in, 2 days?
Oh, we don't talk about my birthday.
Oh, come on.
I took it off Facebook and all that stuff because I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you don't want all those mini Facebook
No,
birthdays?
it's all day long, and no.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, okay. All right, we'll keep that between us and our listeners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Happy
early birthday.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And is there any projects that you're working on that you want to talk about real quick?
Well, yes, there are several things that I can't say anything about because we're in the process of funding them, and if they don't get their money and I talk about them too soon, then I look like an idiot if they don't come through.
No.
And so I have a couple of exciting things that I really, really hope that we get our money for.
Well, that would be a perfect
Everybody
topic.
keep their fingers crossed for me, please.
Definitely.
That'd be a great follow-up show.
It would, and just getting the word out there with this show. Yeah.
That'd be great.
when you do get the funding going and everything's up and running, we can set something up and we can plug it for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
So if people want to follow you, I know you're on Twitter as Kelli Maroney, and
Right.
you also have your website, kellimaroney.com.
It's one of them is official KelliMaroney.com. That's where, if you like the older movies, that's where you're going to find all the fun stuff. There's a place to get DVDs. There's a place to get 8x10s. There's a lot of the older things. And then www.kellimaroney.com is actually it's a modern site for people that really don't care what I was doing in the 80s, so that they could hire me today as a middle-aged woman. And so that's not very fun for the fans. It's just a straight site. It's got my voiceover demo, pictures of me today, and no stills.
Oh,
what was the first one you said?
I'm going to eventually blend the two sites, but I haven't done it yet.
What was the first website you said? It broke up a little bit on my side.
www.officialkellimaroney.com.
Okay, cool.
That's where all the fun stuff is. And I'm usually an actress Kelli Maroney on Facebook. That's the page that I have. That's where I post all the stuff that if I want to be like at a convention or I'm doing something, that's where I will post it. And I'm on, on Instagram. I usually always use my name. The only place you can still find me on YouTube as Kelli Maroney, but my tagline is actually Loves Nerds.
Is what?
Oh, cool.
Loves Nerds. But if you look up Kelli Maroney, you can still find me. And because I have like the best fans in the whole world, and I accidentally said friends, but you know what, I was right in the first place, because fans are friends. I take that really seriously. They dug up all that Ryan's Hope stuff. I didn't do that. And all those Night of the Comet clips and the sleigh ground and the chopping mall and the everything that's on there, they did that. I can't thank them enough. I didn't know how to do that. So it's all there. If you want to see old soaps, if you want to see scenes from the Comet, if you want to see scenes from any other flaky thing that I did in the past, it's there.
Very cool. Well, we really appreciate your time.
Oh, God. I've had a blast.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, and please send me the links and everything, and I will post them too.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So just as soon as you have it available, email them to me.
I will do that.
And then I will retweet you and stuff like that too, but also give them to me so I can do it myself.
And definitely keep us posted on the projects that you're working on. We'd love to have you back on so you can talk about them a little bit.
I would love to. Yeah.
Then we need to talk about Chopping Mall. I just watched that last
night.
Yeah.
We could set that up too. Just let me know when you want to do that.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And it's been a pleasure being on the show, and thanks for listening, people who are listening. And I love you guys, all the people that, love the 80s and stuff like that. Thank you very much.
We love you too.
We love you too. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s. All right, I think she's gone.
Aww.
Well, that was pretty awesome.
That was
very awesome.
Really awesome. She's fantastic.
She is. I actually found Night of the Comet and Chopping Mall on YouTube today and watched them.
Yeah, I did. I watched Chopping Mall today too.
Yeah. It's like it's like I knew it was on the her claim to fame, and I hadn't seen it before, so I was like, I wanna watch this because I want to see. Because it's one of those 80s gaps. And I was like, well, let's see what this is about. And very fun movie.
Yeah, I remember
cheesy
it being
80s
out.
Horror. So that's
Totally fun. So, I think we should try to have her back on again. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Watch this.
I know. Have a nice day.
I was talking to my husband about that. I was like, I wonder who came up with that first. Was it them or was it RoboCop? Because there was a lot of similarities there.
Oh yes. Not to mention it was like a Johnny Five on steroids.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I want to see the Zero Boys too, and get some info about that. That looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think I watched the trailer on that one. That was something like a group of people that were like survival game playing or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That looked really cool.
Yeah. Cool. That was awesome.
I want to ask her next time one of us has to if that tarantula was real.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was sitting there when everything got knocked over. I was like, oh, there goes the spiders. Oh, there's a snake. Oh, there's a snake eating a spider.
Hey, Night of the Comet on Blu-ray on her website, on her official KelliMaroney.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's autographed by Kelly. There's only 5 left. It's $55.
Oh, you better get one. You better get one.
I know. I'm kind
Did
of.
she have Transylvania Twist on there too? Because that one.
Let's see. Zero Boys Shopping Mall. I don't see it.
Yeah, that one. Has either of you seen that movie?
No.
It's hysterical. No. Just so you know, it's corny and spoofy. It's like a horror movie parody.
Is that the one with Tracy Lords?
No. That's not of this earth. That's the one with Robert Vaughn.
Okay,
he plays Lord Byron, some kind of vampire guy. Yeah, it's actually pretty hysterical. They do this one scene with a scene that Boris Karloff is doing in another movie, and they meld it into the actual movie that they're doing. And each, Boris Karloff says something, and then the guy says something, and then Boris Karloff responds. It's just like, oh my God, that's hysterical. Because I had to think for a minute. I went, wait a minute. Boris Karloff wasn't alive in 1989. They must have done something with however they do that, some editing thing that they do. It was funny. It was very funny.
Yeah.
But like she said, she was in it for like a second.
Yeah, I was just looking at the DVDs or the Blu-rays that she has on her site. They're all Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Oh, except for the last one.
Gila.
The irony.
Gila.
Okay.
Gila?
As in Gila monster.
Oh, okay.
Gila monster.
It's a giant Gila monster.
Okay. You gotta say it with the exclamation point.
Gila!
There you go. Perfect.
Did I get enough in there?
You did.
Yeah, I got more than
enough.
More than enough.
It is funny that she mentioned that, like, in her movie, she tends to be the, they put her in the role of being the best shot, with a gun. And then when I was watching Chopping Mall, it was like, you had those guys shooting at the robot, or not the robot, but at the tanks, and they keep missing and missing. Yeah. She grabs the gun, and of course, like, she gets it within like a first shot. Mm-hmm. It was like, nice shot.
Yeah, father was a Marine. I wish she said father or daddy or somebody.
Yeah.
But that's another question I'd like to ask her, because that was the second time she'd been in a movie with her father had been in the military. So I wonder if that was like just a thing that they did, or was her father actually in the military? Or because she said she'd been around guns quite a bit. So
she's been on quite a few shows, other podcasts.
Oh, nice.
Or they talked about her.
Yeah.
But she promotes them on her website.
Yeah.
Oh, are you looking at the press?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to try to squeeze in the Forbidden Zone, or is that another night?
I don't know. What do you think, Rose?
How long do you think it'll take? 30 minutes? I know. I'm just like, eh.
I don't know. You're going to have to tell me.
I'm feeling much better, by the way. Thank you for all the cards and letters, everyone. They raised tons of money for me so that I could get over my illness.
I didn't know you were sick.
Holy crap.
Saved Rosemary.
Debbie Riddles.
Oh, that. Yeah. Okay, that's right. She died.
Yes.
I know she went into the hospital today.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
only 2 days after her daughter. That's wild.
That is very crazy. Poor thing. She just couldn't take the stress.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a long conversation.
I doubt it. I was wondering if you guys had anything to say other than, wow, that was really bizarre.
Let's let Dave go first.
Yeah,
well, do you want to do an intro? Let's start it up.
Yeah. Let's frame out the show. So,
okay.
Are you still recording, Scott?
Or
are you recording at all?
I am still recording.